Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for Autopolis with the Honda RAYBRIG NSX. So this is the 2016 one. And let's get this started by mentioning that we're on the racing soft tires. Brake balance is at 0. You can also use -1. And the RAYBRIG, much better in time trial, but in the race, you'll want to use the Logitech GTR. I'll explain why later, but let's get on with the lap guide, in which you're going to brake at the 100 meter board. So you're braking hard for a while, slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in, and take your time getting on the throttle. Try to avoid touching the grass. Bring yourself towards the left, and you're looking for this path that is on the left. You want to do a quick burst of braking just after you pass it. A little bit of throttle control needed as you go through these next couple of turns, just trying to keep it nice and tight, and then brake before the curb on the right ends. Once again, keep it nice and tight into the hairpin, gradually getting on the throttle as the turbo builds up. When the curb on the right ends, that's when you want to lift off of the throttle, let the car rotate its way through this turn. Once you're pointing towards the Marshall stand, that's when you can start to fully accelerate. Then stay on the right side of the track, as your next braking point is the sign that is on the right. So this is the second sign before the track marshal. So brake hard for a while. You can actually brake just a little bit earlier than I do. Just make sure that you transition over from the braking to the throttle as smoothly as possible. Then bring yourself towards the left. Small burst of braking before you reach the 50 meter board. You want to try to maintain your speed, but also just try to stay on the track. Little lift off of the throttle as the curb on the left ends, and that is also your turning point. Just letting the car roll through these corners, lifting off of the throttle. Brake early for this turn, really easy to overshoot it and end up on the grass. Lots of braking and throttle control needed through these next couple of turns, is trying to make sure that the car is under your full control. Bring yourself towards the left, and your final braking point is when the curb on the left ends. So just try to use a little bit of braking so you can still have the ability to turn. Bring yourself all the way to the inside of the turn, and then fully accelerate onto the start finish line. But that's pretty much it for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the race strategy. So as I mentioned earlier, the RAYBRIG NSX is better for the time trial, as it can rotate a lot better through this technical circuit. But in the race, you want to use a car like the Logitech GTR, because this car is actually better when it comes to tire wear. The RAYBRIG NSX, not that good when it comes to tire wear, and it gets sketchy to drive really fast. But anyways, we're doing 12 laps out of Autopolis with the Group 2 cars. Fuel is a ×2, so fuel not an issue at all. Tire wear is a ×5, so tire wear will be the main issue that we have to deal with for this race. And we have to use both the racing soft and medium tires, so make sure you use both tire compounds. If you're starting in the very front, you can start on the racing soft tires to try to get away from everyone else. But if you're starting anywhere remotely close to the middle or the back, start on the racing medium tires, because dirty air is a royal pain in the behind. So these Group 2 cars, they generate a lot of dirty air. So if you're within 3/4 of a second behind someone, you're in their dirty air. It's going to make your car a lot more understeery through these corners, especially the third sector. Your car becomes a lot more understeery, and that also increases the risk of you shredding your front tires. And with this race taking place at Autopolis, which is a very technical circuit, overtaking is going to be especially difficult, if not borderline impossible. So undercuts, pit strategies are going to be especially important here if you want to make any sort of progress. In terms of how long the racing soft tires can last, it is possible to make them last up to 8 laps, although on average you'll probably want to use them for 6 to 7 laps, 7 laps being the better case. But if you're able to take really good care of your tires, then yeah, it is possible to make them last up to 8 laps, although you'll notice there's quite a bit of a big time drop off. Going over to the pit stop, just make sure you brake before you enter the pit stop because there is a little chicane that you have to go through. And in this scenario, I started on the racing soft tires and I'm switching over to the racing medium tires to fulfill both tire requirements. The pit loss here at Autopolis is 17 seconds, so if you're trying to go for an undercut, you'll definitely be able to get that clean air to make the most out of the car and the tires and the downforce. And that's pretty much it. Not much else to say. It's pretty similar as to the daily race from last week, which was Group 1 at Suzuka. This one, very similar, except it's at a more technical circuit. But anyways, let's go ahead and go on over to places to overtake and the penalty serving zone. So the main straight, best place to try to get the overtake done because the dirty air actually benefits you on the main straight as it helps your car go even faster. It's kind of possible to go for a move through here, especially if you get a really good exit out of the first turn, because that first turn really easy to mess it up. And after that, it's going to be nearly impossible to go for any sort of moves just because of how the dirty air is. Kind of just pushes you back and makes overtaking a lot more difficult. Approaching the hairpin, very situational when it comes to overtaking. You're probably not going to see that much of it unless if people are on completely different tire compounds. And here is the only penalty serving zone here at Autopolis. And that's kind of it because Sector 3 is going to be borderline impossible to go for any sort of overtakes unless someone just completely bends it. And that's going to pretty much be it. So this is nearly a 20-minute race, so a bit of a longer daily race C. And that's it for me. So thank you guys for the support. Thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel as well. And I'm going to sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.